And because I remember at the very beginning of this, you were pointing out that there are some positives to social media, but obviously we've been talking about mostly the negative things, like in this
Yeah.
situation, for example. Like with my personal belief, where social media can play a positive is when it's kind of keeping the higher figures, the monopolies and things like that in check. It gives a voice for the people to collectively do it. Like, for example, with all the monopolies that's popping up right now, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, the positive aspect I believe of social media in that context is that it will give people the ability to have a collective voice to help address this issue,
Yeah.
to keep things in check.
Yeah, so social media can be very democratic and give a wider popular voice. It's potentially, at least, more interactive than conventional media.
Mhm.
You know, if there's an article in a newspaper, you don't have much chance to talk back. You can
Right.
now tweet it and say, I disagree with this article or whatever. So there's a new level of interactive comment in social media, which is potentially valuable and democratic.
Mhm.
And it draws a lot of people into these discussions who wouldn't be in them otherwise, which is
Right.
potentially democratic. But it's vulnerable to manipulation. So I happen to agree with you that it's good for holding people in power to account. But I would point out what goes on a lot of the time is some people in power trying to use social media to mobilize people against other people in power.
Yep.
So Donald Trump's going to mobilize you against Jeff Bezos, and Jeff Bezos maybe is going to mobilize you against Donald Trump. Neither one of those is the spontaneous view of the whole population.
Yeah, like for example, because I remember seeing all the conspiracies on Facebook with like George Soros, for example, that he's funding these violent protesters come in and infiltrate the peaceful protests, whatnot, do that. But another example where you have some people of that authority that are able to do that to push their own agenda.
You mean the people who are attacking Soros or Soros?
Yeah, because unless I misinterpret it incorrectly, because like how you said with the people from the top that'll use
I
their
was just
own
pointing out,
people.
I don't think Soros ever did that. I think that's an occasion of an outright lie.
Yeah, I think
But
that's a
if
full.
he had done that, he would be a powerful person doing that.
I think it's a full-blown lie. I won't like say it's truth. I treat it as a conspiracy, but that's just an example of what I see on Facebook where it pushes that.
So there are always media influencers, the people who own the media, the people who influence them by buying advertising. And then they say, well, if you want our advertising, you can't talk about this on your show, whatever it is. And the social media make their money by getting advertising hits. And so they are biased towards clickbait, whether it's true or not. They're biased towards controversy. They're biased towards whatever draws people in. So there's a kind of basic contradiction about putting them in charge of determining what's true.
Right.
That doesn't mean somebody shouldn't be determining it, but they're probably not well positioned to do it. And with the Soros example, I mean, the widely repeated accusations against Soros are, I think, false. That doesn't mean Soros doesn't want to influence things. It means his method of influencing things is to support education, to support research in various areas, to support political advertising. He certainly wants to change people's minds on some issues. I think that's true, and he uses his money and his foundation to do that by legitimate procedures. Like, we do believe it's okay to buy an advertisement. We do believe it's okay to publish a book.
Right.
And what's troubling about the accusation of Soros, aside from there just being false in this, and sort of covers other things, is that they're almost all anti-Semitic. They almost all will mention he's a Jew, right? And it's kind of a hint. If somebody is just making an accusation about political interference, they don't have to mention that. If they mention that, it's a big clue that they're probably promoting a biased conspiracy theory for other reasons.
Yeah, then because like especially since the quarantine has gone down, and even before that, I've been seeing on Facebook there's been an increase in not just left-wing conspiracy theories that go around, but also right-wing conspiracy theories, especially surrounding the pandemic itself. And I know with George Soros, it was a very hard right-wing push in regards to that conspiracy that George Soros had that involvement. So
and it, you know, it has roots also in Hungary, where he comes from, where the dictator in Hungary wanted to discredit Soros, partly because Soros had founded a university and had been supporting democratic groups there. And so naturally the dictator didn't like it, though ironically, the dictator got his own college scholarship from Soros. And, you know, I mean, it's a complicated set of stories and a complicated world with all that. But your basic point, things will come from right and left, is correct. Things will come from neither right nor left, but still self-interested stories. Corporations want to sell stuff, Russia wanting to sow discord in the US elections. So, you know, Russia might be acting to support President Trump, but they might just be acting to stir up trouble and undermine the US. And so it's not necessarily left or right all the time. There are a variety of ways in which people try to manipulate and try to undermine reasonable public discourse in society.